we've got this sorted. We don't know whether it's going to work, but we'll give it a go. Yes, technology. We're winning already. Right, okay, so my name's Sam Marsden, and I'm going to be talking about how you can be more efficient as an SEO, and how we can automate SEO reporting with Google Data Studio. So before I start, I just want to say thank you to you from the future for having me and for giving me this opportunity. It's really great to be here, and thank you all for coming. As you might be able to tell, I'm from the UK. I'm over in the US for a couple of weeks, and I kind of thought this would be a good way to get away from all of the madness that's happening in the UK at the moment with Brexit going on, and it's getting a bit boring with all the kind of like economic instability and everything. And then I came over here and realised that your government's kind of ground to a halt, so things aren't going too great here either. But it's madness everywhere. But so today I'm going to take you through. We can be in a world of dashboards, and we can fill our lives with some really great graphs and charts. So that's exciting. So a bit about me: I'm an SEO and content manager at DeepCrawl. I optimize things. I write a lot of content about SEO and kind of monitor performance and tracking as well for the DeepCrawl site. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to look at what is the actual need for report automation, why Google Data Studio is a good option for that, and then I'm going to take you through some of the dashboards that I and the team at DeepCrawl have been creating, and hopefully give you some inspiration for some ideas that you can go away with and start building out these kind of dashboards after. So what's the need for automation? Well, firstly, it's 2019, and if Elon Musk can fire a Tesla up into space for shits and giggles, then surely we can get our shit together and start automating some of the kind of time-consuming tasks that are in our workload. Can someone move my... Thanks. You might need to do that a couple of times, but cheers. Next slide. Right. So the second reason why we need to start automating reporting is because competition for SERPs is fierce. There's more competition for a kind of shrinking opportunity within organic search, and it's really a case of we need to speed up, else we're going to lose out. Alternatively, we could sit tight and wait for the AI apocalypse to come and kind of swallow us all up, but I think we're a few years off of that, so let's stay pragmatic and focus on streamlining our workflows so that we're working to be smarter, faster, and we ultimately want to make our workflows easier. So if you take anything away from this talk, I'd really recommend thinking about what do you actually spend your time on, thinking about those recurring tasks that kind of eat away at your day. And a good place to start with that is your regular to-dos. And it's about identifying the unnecessary and manual parts of those tasks. And they might not be big parts, they might just be like small, tiny little tasks that you keep doing on a recurring basis, but actually those add up over time. Unfortunately, we've got a load of automation tools which can help us with these, so we should be making use of them. And I think that Google Data Studio is a really good way to start automating reporting, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. So Data Studio was launched back in 2016. It was launched in much simpler times before you guys elected Trump, before we had Brexit. We had a head full of dreams, and the world was a better place. And while our countries might have not gone from strength to strength, they've gone downhill. Data Studio has gone from strength to strength, and it's been developing really quickly. And if you don't know, there's lots of different possibilities to connect different data sets. I think there are about 100 native connectors or over that now. And then if you actually look at the interest in Google Data Studio, in Google Trends, you can see that since its launch, it's just been going up and up. And I've been paying quite close attention to people posting about Data Studio, and it's kind of ramping up. It's been ramping up over the past kind of 6 months to a year. On the DeepCrawl Twitter account, we actually asked how often, to what extent are people automating SEO reporting with Data Studio, and we were really impressed by the response that got. So I think there were over 800 people that actually got back to us, but a lot of them didn't seem to be actually using it. So there seems to be quite a high level of interest, but the adoption of Data Studio seems to be quite low. And they might be using different dashboarding and data viz tools like Tableau, Power BI, Domo, but I think it's more a case of people are lazy, and it's easy to get stuck into kind of manual workflows and what you're used to. But the people that are using Data Studio, they seem to be have a lot of good things to say about it. So I think this high level of interest, low level of adoption is probably because, it's hard to change our habits, even when we can see that changing them would kind of directly benefit our future self. So that's the philosophy section of this done. So it's all about removing barriers and minimizing the hows, and that's what I'm going to attempt to do with the rest of this talk. So Data Studio itself has very few barriers. It's free for the most part, unless you're using Supermetrics, which all these kind of third-party connectors, but they're relatively inexpensive and something that I'd recommend checking out. Data Studio itself is really simple to set up. It's quite intuitive, and as I said before, there's many possibilities to connect these different data sets. So I'll just start off with a quick example of how I personally have benefited from using Data Studio. So quite a simple example, but my marketing director, Jen, would come to me every week, it worked out as, and ask, how are we looking for traffic for this month? And I'd go off and say, well, let me go and check. And I go into this kind of workflow of going into analytics, looking at the sessions, selecting the data range, working out the projections, and kind of working out how we were tracking. Then I'd get back to Jen and say, have a conversation and update her. It didn't really take that long all in all. It's probably only 2 minutes per time, but that adds up, and it would be 8 minutes per month, 96 minutes per year. So all in all, it's a lot of time that I'm wasting. Coincidentally, that's exactly the same runtime as the film Up. So if I can be watching a heartwarming Disney classic an extra time per year, then I'm going to be quite happy with that. So what I came up with was this solution. It's content performance dashboard, and along the top you've got all of these data controls, so you can control the date, the country, medium, etc. And below that you've got all of the top level KPIs, and then kind of more granular page level insights below that. So it's a simple application of analytics data in Data Studio, but it's very effective because now Jen doesn't need to come to me to ask how traffic's doing. She can just go straight to this dashboard. And we've also got all of these data controls. So from an SEO perspective or a marketing perspective, I can go in and kind of get more detailed insights when I need to. You've also got things like trends over time and these page level insights. So the point isn't necessarily that it's giving us all of this new information that we wouldn't otherwise know, but it's that it's in this kind of preset format which is immediately useful, and that's ultimately going to help us move faster. So now when Jen comes to me and asks me how we're looking for traffic, I can just say, well, go and check the dashboard. So before I go into the dashboards, I just want to take you through some of the finer points of Data Studio which you might not know about. So Data Studio consists of bringing in data sources. They can be native to Google. They can be third-party partner connectors through the likes of Supermetrics, or custom connectors that are built via the app script. And these are visualized in reports, and you can blend different data sources together. And they've also added this Explorer function, which is actually quite useful just for quickly working out how something might look before committing it to an actual dashboard itself. Supermetrics is a really useful tool. I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but you can bring in the likes of, SEMrush data, search metrics, Adobe Analytics, bring in all of this data which they don't have native connectors themselves. So being able to bring that into Data Studio is really powerful. Then you've also got data blending, and what this allows you to do is mix different sources together based on a common join key. So you might want to bring together analytics and Search Console data, for example. There are still some bugs with this that need to be ironed out, but I think they're moving at quite a good rate, and I'm kind of confident that these will eventually go, hopefully, so it'll be less buggy. Also calculated fields, so once you've brought in your data, you can transform it with a number of Excel-like functions. There's also a forum which is really active, so if you're struggling with anything, you can get answers to your questions in a matter of minutes. And there's also a calculated fields Whiteboard Friday with Dana Tommaso, I think I'm pronouncing that right. And that's really worth checking out as well. So now I've rambled on long enough about Data Studio itself, so let's take a look at some dashboards. Cool. So I'm going to take you through some speed dashboards, then looking at some crawling and indexing insights that you can pull into Data Studio, then looking at keyword cannibalization, and also how we can streamline monthly reporting. So the idea isn't here to provide you with like a load of templates that you can take away, but it's to kind of inspire some ideas about how you might be able to become more efficient in your day-to-day work. So speed dashboards, let's start with that, using Crux data. So as I'm sure you know, Google is starting to factor in speed into their ranking algorithm now. It's probably only a secondary kind of ranking signal. It's probably not as important as like the relevancy signals, but it's something that's more impactful than just UX. So having a quick site is now part of the algorithm, Google's algorithm. We also know that they're using Chrome data as part of this. And this is part of a publicly available data set, the Crux data set, which is free for anyone to query. And you can actually access this data by page speed insights. So this is the easiest way. You can just plug in your domain and it gives you the kind of Crux metrics. So some really good speed metrics. The Chrome team have also provided a default dashboard, which is fine. It kind of gives you all of the metrics. So here you've got first contentful paint, and that's broken down into various buckets of fast, average, and slow pages, and they've kind of trended this over time. So that's quite useful, but you're still slightly limited because you can't manipulate the visualization of this data all that easily. So to do that, you need to be able to access the raw data itself, and you can do that via Google BigQuery. So what you need to do there, so the reason why you'd want to do this is it gives you the flexibility to manipulate how you display this data. It's relatively inexpensive, and the benefit is that it gives you kind of a bit better ability for comparing multiple domains for the purposes of competitor analysis. So the way that you'd query this data is you'd write the query in SQL, you'd run it against the Chrome, the Crux dataset, export it into Google Sheets, and then you can pull this through into Google Data Studio. And something I'm working on at the moment is how you can automate this process so you don't have to do it on a monthly basis, and storing it in Google Cloud Storage. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for here. And if you're interested in doing that, there are some great guides out there. So there's one by Paul Calvano. He's got some video tutorials about how you can get started with the Crux data set. There's also the Crux cookbook by Rick Viscomi. He's got loads of these SQL queries that you can just plug in your domain and then run it via BigQuery. There's also Misusing the Chrome User Experience Report by Oliver Mason. That's worth checking out as well. He's got some good opinions on that as well. So when you've pulled this data through into Data Studio, something that you can do is compare how you're performing with various performance metrics compared to different domains. So what I've done here is compares the DeepCrawl domain against a couple of our competitors to see how we stack up. And what you can do is use this to get buy-in from either management or clients for various optimization work. You could also then supplement this with the revenue impact calculator, which is a Google tool that You just have to put in a few different metrics about your site, and it can tell you how much kind of revenue you're losing based on or how much more revenue you could be making if you made your site X% faster. So once you've got the buy-in, you can then use these graphs to inform different development teams. So you can bring all of the main metrics from the Crux database. So first paint, first contentful paint, DOM content loaded, and onload. And you can like stack these on top of each other and identify where the problem areas lie. And yeah, this can help along this optimization work. And then once you've implemented all of your optimization initiatives, you can then overlay various performance metrics with the business impacts that they can have. So you might want to look at, I don't know, bounce rate or conversion rate, and look at how this correlates with things like the percentage of fast first contentful paint pages. So overlaying these and kind of looking at speed and how it impacts the business performance is something that could be really useful. Okay, so moving on, the next set of dashboards is bringing crawl insights into Data Studio. And for this, if you want to bring in DeepCrawl data into Data Studio, Zapier is what you'll need to use. And if you don't know about Zapier, it's one of my favorite tools. And what it allows you to do is trigger things in one tool and action them in another. And it's quite simple to set up. So if you wanted to bring DeepCrawl into Data Studio, what you need to do is create a Zap where you're triggering based on a completed crawl. You're then bringing this into actioning the updating of a row in Google Sheets, and then this is being pulled in to populate various dashboards in Data Studio. So let's look at some of the applications of that. So one of the dashboards I've got here is the XML sitemap dashboard, and what this allows you to do is compare DeepCrawl data alongside Search Console data, just looking at sitemaps. And this is what this dashboard looks like. So along the top, you've got the total number of URLs crawled from the sitemap. Below that, on the right here, you've got the pages breakdown. So you've got primary pages, non-indexables, non-200s, etc. And putting that alongside Search Console data with the number of submitted and indexed URLs. So this allows you to conveniently monitor Search Console, DeepCrawl insights side by side and easily flag indexing issues. This dashboard actually helps me quite a lot earlier last year when there was a problem with the Yoast plugin. I think there was an update which caused loads of attachment URLs to be indexed. So overnight on the DeepCrawl site, we had double the number of index pages that we actually should have. With this dashboard, I was able to see that doubling of the index pages, implement a fix, and then use the dashboard again to monitor their return back to the kind of normal expected level. So that was something that was really useful for me. So yeah, you can track index pages over time, and it's ultimately going to save you a bunch of time. Another application of DeepCrawl data within Data Studio is the technical console, which is something that Adam Gent, who's part of our product team, he's created. So what the point in this is you're able to pick out various technical insights for quick issue detection, and you're combining different data sources again. So you've got crawl data alongside analytics and Search Console data. And this is something that I'm using to monitor the performance of the DeepCrawl blog specifically. So the first part of this is the page performance dashboard. So along the top, I don't know whether you can see, it's maybe a bit blurry, but at the top you've got search analytics data from Search Console, and that's looking at the kind of previous months. And then you've got organic search traffic from analytics on the right there, on the left there, right, sorry. And below that, you've got things like the proportion of traffic driving pages and kind of blocks non-200 pages. You can also pick up things like desktop mobile mismatches and the proportion of pages with search impressions. So that's all useful things that I'd be able to pick up easily detect issues and then dig into them further in their respective platforms. The second part of this dashboard is the crawl and indexing one. So this can pick up things like crawl errors, looking at index status, paginated links, URL fetch time, broken and redirected links, and orphaned URLs. So yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. And then lastly, we've got the canonicalization part of this dashboard. So it's looking at various signals, looking at things like broken and non-indexable pages and sitemaps. If you've undergone a HTTPS migration, then looking see whether there's any HTTP pages existing and any mixed content. Also redirect issues and links to broken pages. Okay, so another dashboard is the multi-domain keyword cannibalization dashboard. It's quite a mouthful, but it's actually really useful for particularly large international businesses. So if for sites that, or for businesses that have many domains where the kind of business interests overlap and they might be ranking for the same queries, that's a problem because it results in a duplication of effort. And that's something that you'd want to keep on top of. It's about identifying and reducing the duplication of effort. This dashboard, it filters down by device, country, and query sets, and allows you to track cannibalization issues over time. So how you'd go about setting this up is, first off, you go into Google Search Console and you use their property sets. So you bring in all of the properties or domains that you're interested in seeing where this overlap lies. You bring this into Data Studio and then select the property set that you've created. And then what you can do is build a dashboard a bit like this. So along the top, you've got the data controls, which allow you to filter down by query, the territory or country, the date range, and that will populate the table below, and you'll be able to see where you're ranking for different domains for the same queries. Oh no, my slides have gone. There we go. We're good. Oh no. Do you mind giving it a wiggle? Thanks. So, where have we gone? Yeah, so first off, you pick the queries that you're interested in, then the countries where you want to see where the overlap lies and the dates. And then you're going to see this cross-domain keyword data. So for the DeepCrawl site, this is not something that we have to worry about too much, but here you can see that for branded search terms, we have a marketing subdomain which is ranking for that. So that's not ideal and something that we can fix, but if you're a large international business, then this is probably going to be costing you a lot of money and something that you want to keep on top of. And the final dashboard I want to take you through, or it's not a dashboard, but the final part of this that I want to take you through is streamlining monthly reporting. So whether you're reporting into management or clients, regular reporting is probably going to be a part of what you do. So if you can speed that up, then you're going to be onto a winner. So if you wanted to do this particularly with kind of crawl insights, then what you could do is go into Zapier and maybe set up a crawl which triggers based on a Google Calendar invite. And then you could create another part to that Zap where when that crawl's then completed, it's sending a Slack notification to tell you that that crawl's finished. At the same time, it can update a row within Google Sheets, and then you're pulling it into Google Data Studio to populate these dashboards like some of the ones that I've taken you through. You can then go on to export the PDF and directly email over to whatever stakeholder or whoever the relevant person is with all of your insights. So on the face of it, this process, it looks quite involved, but it's actually not. Once you've set it up, you're just kind of waiting for that Slack notification to come through to see that the crawl's finished, and then you can go to your dashboard, export the PDF and send it on. So it's actually quite simple. So I just want to finish off with some tips for success within Google Data Studio. some key steps for getting started. Make sure that you get access to all of the data that you actually need. So you might need access to Zapier or Supermetrics. That will be helpful. I'd spend some time bringing in all of these data sources into GDS. So it takes a bit of time up front, but once you've got all of this data in and kind of neatly organized, that's going to free you up and save you a lot of time in the long run. I'd also focus on building out the dashboards that are actually useful to you. It can be quite tempting to go off and create something which looks cool, but actually it's not going to be that helpful in the future. And there are a number of templates which are already available, so I'd recommend looking at those. They're popping up quite a lot. There's someone I think is Helpfully on Twitter. I'd recommend following him. He kind of maintains, I think it's a dashboard full of dashboards, and yeah, so it's like a library of dashboards that you can look at and find ones that are useful for whatever your needs are. Lastly, I'd recommend sharing and collaborating. So once you've created something that's good, share it with other people in either the SEO community or also within your organization or company. It's often these things can help people in different departments, or yeah, it's quite wide-spanning dashboarding. So yeah, think about the wider implications of what you can create as well. So yeah, set up all of your sources and start experimenting. Don't lose your shit though. Make sure that you keep things organized with labeling and clear naming conventions. It's boring stuff, but it's something that hurt me when I started off with Data Studio, is that I just kind of got in a bit of a muddle with loads of different data sources and dashboards that they didn't really mean anything to me. So kind of keeping things consistent, really recommend doing that. Yeah, and I touched on this, but yeah, making sure that you actually prioritize the dashboards that you're creating and the kind of automations that you're creating based on the issues that you actually face, rather than something that seems exciting. Because ultimately this is going to free you up to move faster. So I've got a bunch of useful resources here to get started with Google Data Studio. These will be available on SlideShare, on Twitter. I've also got a guide setting up some of these dashboards. So if you go to bit.ly/SEO automation, you can have a look at how to start building out some of these dashboards there. Yeah, I'll be around for questions now, but if you want to send me a tweet, my handle's @Sam_Marsden. So yeah, hit me up. So yeah, thank you very much.